I think you can start.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. This is Josh V2 speaking. Josh is out this week, so I'll be taking over with the core devs call. Um, we have a bunch of things on the agenda, so I'll quickly jump through them. First, just for convention's sake, any of the working groups that have updates, DA working group, interface working group, CK working group. Nope. Did I just cover my bases? All right, so we have six existing CIPs which are changing their status. This is just a bunch of administrative stuff, so I'll just go through that first, nice and quick. So the first one is the lowering trusting period to 7 days. That has already been moved to final. As far as I understand, the next Go and Rust releases, so Luminar and Celestia Node, will include the lowering of the trusting period to 7 days, which will mean the sampling will only be 7 days. I think for Node, that's V25. I don't know if there's anyone here from Node team to corroborate that. And then I'm not too sure for the Luminar release, but that's also coming out, I think, this week or next. Some other things that are moving to final.
We released the Lumina with the cemeteries.
Okay, it's already released. Awesome. Two other things that we're planning to move to final is the header pruning for light nodes, and then also the pruning window down to 7 days and 1 hour. So that kind of matches with the lowering of the trusting period. Now, bridge nodes will only have to save data for the 7 days plus the 1 hour extra. That's going to have some delay. So we're first going to have the sampling window reduction, and then maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the actual bridge nodes can start pruning into the 7 days, 1 hour window. So those are things that are set to be moved to final, unless anyone has anything else they would like to add. And then we have three other CIPs that are moving to last call. So one is lowering the unbonding period to 14 days and 1 hour. That should be pretty straightforward. Previously it was 21 days. Now it's reducing. The next one is to increase the maximum blocks, square, and transaction size. So this would allow up to 128 megabytes a second or 20 megabytes a second network throughput, and a transaction size of 8 megabytes per transaction, which is increased from 2 megabytes. That's moving to last call. And then the final item is the removal of the token filter for Hyperlane and IBC. This would allow transfers not just of TIA to Celestia, but also of other tokens as well. And thus enabling Celestia to kind of also route messages or route tokens to like rollups that are on Celestia. So those are all moving to last call. Now the fun stuff, two new CIPs. The first one is a Preval interface extension for arbitrary message signing. I'll open this up and hand it over to Rashid and Evan if they want to give a quick update as to what the CIP is for.
I can cover this, I guess, if Rashid's not on the call. The SIP is simply to add a method to an interface. So it is breaking. And this extra method for the preval, well, it's breaking to some extent. The actual breakingness is a bit complex, but the most important thing is that we're adding a new way to sign a message using the existing key management systems for different validator for the ones that validators use currently. So things like Horcrux and TMKMS. And we use this new mechanism to sign off-chain messages. So these messages are never posted on-chain. They're only used in the protocol. And because we can use them in the protocol, now we can do fancy things like we can do an FMO. So an FMO is a full mesh overlay. So all the validators are talking to the other validators. But in order to do that, they have to verify that they're talking to the other validators. And they can do that with an off-chain message that's signed with the validator's key. So we have stuff like this. We have things where validators commit to data before it's included. So this is things like vacuum. And this is enabled essentially by adding this single new method to sign off-chain messages. So it just says raw bytes, sign bytes. And if anyone has any questions, definitely let us know. We want to get as many KMS providers upgraded as possible, and we're definitely willing to do the legwork here. So thanks to Rashid's work and Tony from Inclusion. We have a PR for Horcrux, and we have a PR for Team KMS. The remaining teams that are still in question are teams who use a KMS that is not open source, so things that are closed source. We've been pinging folks, but we've had trouble getting like a concrete list. So the most important thing here, I think, is to notify teams like Coinbase or Anchorage or any other potentially an exchange if they run any other like centralized exchange or centralized token holding entity. Presumably is like has a high probability of using one of these proprietary KMS. So if you use a proprietary KMS, we want to hear from you and are definitely willing to help to every extent that we can to implement this so that you can propose blocks.
Awesome. And so this will be slated for the next major upgrade, and that will require node operators that use a KMS to also upgrade their KMS to a version that is compatible, right?
Yes, that's a very good point. So we have forks for the KMS, but that also means that you have to upgrade that KMS. If the KMS is not upgraded, then you will not be able to propose blocks, which is very problematic.
Yeah. So your consensus node will still run and you'll be able to validate blocks, but you just won't be able to propose them.
You'll still
correct?
run well, I think the consensus nodes actually will by default not turn on.
Okay.
If they detect that they're a validator the first time that they try to propose a block and they're unable to sign, I think they will actually shut down. That's not implemented yet, but I think that's being added to sort of help force this feature to be adopted. Maybe that's a bit too harsh, but without implementing that, your validator will still sign blocks, but it will not propose blocks, which is very bad for the network. So we do need some mechanism to ensure that everyone is using a compatible preval. So a new upgraded one. If you use the file one, so the one that's default to Comet, it's also of course updated. So the three main ones are all updated. As long as people are upgrading to them, it should be fine. The thing that's a bit more difficult that I still haven't figured out like a good solution for is ensuring that everyone has upgraded, even if they use a proprietary KMS.
Are there any other questions people have about the CIP that they would like to raise now? If not, we can move on. Thanks, Evan, for the explainer. The other CIP that's new is this one here, which is by both myself and Nash. And this is to reduce the issuance to 2.5%. So that's a 50% reduction in what it was previously, 5%, which is now on V4. And to also increase the minimum commission to 10%. So this kind of offsets the reduced revenue that validators would have got by the reduced issuance by increasing it from 5% to 10%. One of them, the latter one, this validator commission is like a governance vote. And so we'll go alongside it, whereas this one here is requires a major upgrade, decreasing the inflation. And the rationale is much the same as it was for the previous CIP 29, which previously reduced inflation by 33%, for the same effect of trying to have the staking yield be roughly the same as it is for the DeFi yield, making it more viable that DeFi protocols use TIA. You can read more about it here in the motivation. And then we also have like tables explaining the effects to both the delegate APR, the valid APR, and the total staking, given different bonding ratios. Currently, I think Celestia is around 60%. And then also how the inflation changes over time. So after 9 years, as opposed to 20 as it was first proposed, we should reach target inflation. and then other sort of like test cases and security considerations. Does anyone have any questions on this CIP that I'd like to raise now? Ask. If not, you can just move it to the forum.
I think there is like a forum like message that we should just probably try to address from someone. Just wanted to point that out.
Okay. Yeah, I can look into that. This one here?
Yeah.
I guess so. All right. Yeah. We can continue all those like async discussions in the forum itself. Awesome. That concludes all the like updates and new CIPs. I guess the last thing that's in the works is the V6 match upgrade. I think there is a PR for that, which will be the upcoming release. Evan, I don't know if you want to say a few words about that, just to give people a heads up.
I think this is actually missing the. Oh no! Someone added the reduce issuance. You're talking about the metasep, right?
Yeah, I think it's like not yet finished, but it's in progress. So I just thought
Yeah.
it'd be a good thing now to like.
Yeah, I need to remember to go update the metasep to include the issuance change. But besides that, it should include all the the SIPs that we just discussed, and I think maybe a few more.
Yeah, let me just. I think it's just the last 6 or 7 SIPs. Oops. So from here to this last, the Lotus network upgrade. So I think all these SIPs will be included for the match upgrade.
Yeah.
And that's slated for end of September, early October, correct?
Yep.
Cool. Any other questions people would like to have? If not, thanks for taking the 15 minutes to come to this call. And we'll talk to you in 2 weeks' time for the next quarter.